everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of News for Normies. I am your host, Millennial Meditations, recording on Friday night this week because I'm going to have a busy weekend this weekend, so got a lot of stuff to talk about. Wanted to make sure I got this video out on time. So if you appreciate what I'm doing here, hit that like button, subscribe, follow me on all the socials, and now on Spotify. So if I had to take my picks, I would say go to Rumble first and Spotify second. I still upload to YouTube because that's where the people are, but YouTube is not very kind to people like myself. So fight the culture war with your dollars, and that'll come into play later. So before we get into any national level news, I got to talk about some Ohio news first. And by the way, I'm going to have all of the social links below for YouTube, Rumble, Spotify. So all you got to do is look in the video description. You can see the link. Just click on it, and it'll take you right there to subscribe. So, okay, back to the news. A bill was proposed here in Ohio called House Bill 427 that would allow energy companies to adjust the thermostat in your house. It is being proposed as a voluntary program, but that's how every totalitarian program ever starts. It's always voluntary, and then it becomes mandatory. Or, as we've seen with gun buyback programs in places like Australia and the UK, it's a voluntary program, but if you don't volunteer for it, you'll have your property seized and be thrown in jail. So, anyway, to my surprise, it was a Republican that actually proposed this bill, and his name is Roy Klopfenstein. He proposed, of course, that this would, quote, help homeowners save money during times of high demand, end quote. But anyone with a little bit of common sense knows where this will lead. Totalitarian control of energy uses for climate change, or whatever hoax they want to push on us. So yeah. It's also kind of funny that the guy with the very seriously German-sounding last name is proposing something like this. Seems a little on the nose if you ask me. So, if you would like to... Well, first, if you live here in Ohio and you would like to voice your disgust with this bill, obviously be peaceful, be respectful, but you can contact him via text message at 419-771-6935 or email roy@royklopfenstein.com to voice your concern about this. And again, that will be linked below. That will be the first thing linked below in the references part of the description. If you live here in Ohio, I would highly suggest you do so. And I will be contacting some of my local state reps as well about this, because that is just completely insane. It'd be like also, allowing the government to tell you how much gas you can put in your car because of fuel shortages and whatever. Anyway, moving on to more national level stuff. A suspicious package was recently detonated at Utah State University ahead of a Turning Point USA event. Thankfully, local law enforcement were able to dispatch this device before anyone could be hurt. And as you saw in the video, somebody was well off in the distance and away from the bomb squad getting there. But it is still concerning that this had to happen, as this came shortly after the assassination, the political assassination of Charlie Kirk. And this is yet another example of violence as terrorism toward conservatives, because apparently killing Charlie Kirk wasn't enough. So just keep your eyes open when you are out there, especially at events like this. And speaking of left-wing terrorists, an Antifa terrorist threatened a journalist by the name of Nick Shirley recently, but he had some Overwatch, as you'll see here.
Sir, stop it.
Fucking walk.
Stop.
Walk, motherfucker.
What are you doing? Why are you so mad? I didn't do anything.
You did.
What did I do?
Walk.
I haven't done anything.
Walk. Do not come back.
Watch out.
You come back, I'm gonna fucking smoke you, dude.
Really?
Yes, really. I'm
Why?
gonna smash that fucking camera.
Stop it. Stop. Sir, stop it.
Stop sticking your camera in people's fucking face.
I have the right to be here.
Okay, did I say you?
I have the right to be here. I have the right to film. You have DHS watching you right there.
Stop.
Lasered on you. You have a sniper lasered on you right
I
now.
don't give a fuck.
Stop it.
Stop sticking your camera in people's face.
I didn't do anything wrong.
Okay.
You have a sniper on you right now. You have a sniper on you right now.
Now, thankfully, law enforcement had a pretty heavy presence there, but it still concerns me that Nick could have been hurt or killed, because we all know how these peaceful protests go. It's pretty crazy to see a sniper on a roof like that overwatching a protest, but, you know, in days like this, it's sad that it's needed. So, yeah, again, glad that Nick wasn't hurt. I'm obviously not encouraging anybody to do that themselves, because you could also be seriously hurt yourself. And speaking of people being seriously hurt and actually killed, a man drove his truck into a Mormon church in Michigan and then opened fire on congregants with his own gun. He also had a homemade explosive device in the truck, but thankfully that device did not go off, so he was pretty bad at making those things. Again, not encouraging this kind of stuff. Don't go doing that kind of thing. However, he did set the building on fire, causing part of the church to collapse. And the shooter was apparently motivated by his own hatred of the Mormon church, which is very weird because Mormons are very, very peaceful people. Like, I personally disagree with some of their theology, but I don't wish them to die. This is also why I encourage anyone who attends a place of worship to carry concealed while you're there in accordance with their state law. Not that a Glock 19 would take out a truck, but he rammed it through the building, then got out. So, you know, once he exits the vehicle, you've got a better chance. Now, to play devil's advocate a little bit here, the shooter apparently had a Trump sign at his home, and I've seen pictures circulating on the internet of him wearing a t-shirt with Trump on it. So, unlike the left, I will condemn violence like this from people who claim to be on my side. Yeah, this is not how you affect change, and you've made yourself and a lot of people like you look like assholes. So, yeah, this guy is not one of us. Let me rephrase that. He does not... I don't agree with him. There we go. Just gotta... It's the only way I can say it. I've been up since like 4 a.m. I'm tired. But yeah, unlike the left, that refuses to take accountability for their own side. I will say this guy does not represent me. I'm much more like the Charlie Kirks and the Steven Crowders who want to actually sit down and have a conversation with people they disagree with. Yeah. Sadly, you know, several people were hurt and killed from that attack. And then, strangely enough, a second shooting happened in Southport, North Carolina, which is roughly 50 miles northeast of Myrtle Beach. This gunman pulled up to the Southport Yacht Club on his own boat, took out a gun and shot at people at a seaside bar and sadly killed 3 people before speeding off. As of right now, nobody has been arrested and charged for any crimes. And I haven't seen any pictures of a, person of interest, if you will, in this one. So, if you're in the area, keep your eyes peeled. And if anybody's acting funny, keep an eye on them. Report it to police or, do what you have to do to keep yourself and others safe in accordance with the law. Don't go be a vigilante. Don't try to be John Wick. But do what you got to do to keep yourself safe. So, strange that this guy was just sped off in a boat. It's like an 80s action movie or something. Miami Vice. So this was also another weird one. A Secret Service SUV caught on fire Monday, shortly before Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was supposed to visit the White House. The fire started in the back seat due to an electrical fire, and no foul play is suspected. But to me, the timing of this is very, very suspicious considering current events and overall support of Israel being very, very low as of late. So this one didn't get a lot of attention, so maybe that's the truth, but the timing is very, very weird. Okay, taking that off because it's hot in here. Yeah, so this next story did gain a lot of attention. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth recently gathered all the top generals and admirals from the United States military to Quantico, Virginia, and gave a speech on the new direction that the department will be taking.
To remove the social justice, politically correct, and toxic ideological garbage that had infected our department. To rip out the politics. No more identity months, DEI offices, dudes in dresses. No more climate change worship. No more division, distraction, or gender delusions. No more debris. As I've said before, and will say again, we are done with that shit. I've made it my mission to uproot the obvious distractions that made us less capable and less lethal. That said, the War Department requires the next step. Underneath the woke garbage is a deeper problem, and a more important problem that we are fixing and fixing fast.
I do apologize for that buzzing sound. That was from the live stream of the speech from Fox News, not me. So again, apologize for that. It was annoying the first time I had to hear that too. But on top of this, Secretary Hegseth says that all members of the military, including the top brass of all branches of the military, must be physically fit, and the top leaders of the military will be subjected to a fitness test twice per year. Now, of course, the squawking heads over at The View were upset at Pete Hegseth fat-shaming the military leaders, as you see here.
I'm actually really befuddled by why he did that. The optics were terrible, meaning all of our top military brass are all in one place, and we spent $6 million to get them there. That didn't make a lot of sense to me. It also didn't make a lot of sense to me that he was saying that he was going to toughen physical standards and review the anti-hazing policy by sort of implementing a hazing policy. And then also he said he was going to return to the highest male standard for combat positions because the troops were fat.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that was supposed to be an uplifting message for our military.
Maybe he's referring to Colonel Sanders.
Yeah, it was really a bizarre thing. He started talking about woke DEI policies. By the way, there are no gender quotas in the military. By the way, he fired more than a dozen military leaders, many of them people of color and women. He fired the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, General Charles Brown Jr., who is African American. Yeah. He fired the first woman to command the Navy, Admiral Lisa Franchetti. I don't understand the sort of hypocrisy of firing these people, having all these people meet together, and then denigrating them.
But did you look at it? They're looking at him like he has two heads.
Well,
It's funny how these idiots are upset that the military should be fit, but were quiet when the government was weeding out members of the military for being right-wing extremists because they posted a picture of the Gadsden flag or, liked pages such as the NRA or, things like that, or people being drummed out of the military for refusing the COVID shot. Now, I know I am not the epitome of physical fitness. I've got some pounds I could lose, but as a taxpayer, i.e. somebody who's funding the military, I would like to see our military as physically fit as possible. And to piggyback on that a little bit, our police across the country as well. You're not going to chase down an enemy combatant or an armed robber if you are fat. Plain and simple. And I didn't pull up this video, but I saw one a couple weeks ago of this fat chick in a military uniform doing a taste test challenge or whatever of chocolate from Dubai. And I kid you not, this lady looked like fucking Lizzo. It was kind of disgraceful, if you ask me. Like, I didn't know they made camo that big. And you're not hiding from shit when you're that big. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's just the truth. You know, when you're the size of a Bradley fighting vehicle, you can't get in it. Like, what the fuck are we doing here, man? So yeah, I'm all for it. Jeez. Again, I'm tired. I'm feeling a little goofy now. So, speaking of goofy, the federal government officially shut down at midnight Tuesday night into Wednesday morning because Democrats wanted to continue funding health care for illegal aliens. Obviously, most Republicans rejected this, resulting in the shutdown. And after this, Trump posted this video that was clearly AI of Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer in an attempt to poke fun at the Democrat Party and basically tell everybody what they're all about.
Coded. Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans bullshit. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us. So we need new voters. And if we give all these illegal aliens free health care, we might be able to get them on our side so they can vote for us. They can't even speak English, so they won't realize we're just a bunch of woke pieces of shit, you know, at least for a while until they learn English and they realize they hate us too.
And on top of this, memes of Hakeem Jeffries in the sombrero and mustache have been going viral on the internet. To no surprise, Hakeem Jeffries cried like a little bitch when he saw this. You can find those videos too. But Vice President J.D. Vance was asked about this recently and had the best thing to say about it.
Time you can negotiate in good faith while also poking a little bit of fun at some of the absurdities of the Democrats' positions, and even, you know, poking some fun at the absurdity of the Democrats themselves. I mean, I'll tell Hakeem Jeffries right now, I make this solemn promise to you that if you help us reopen the government, the sombrero memes will stop. And I've talked to the President of the United States about that. Now, to your first question.
I honestly can't wait for Vance to become president in 2028 because you know that the memes will flow from the White House when he's inaugurated. Like, I could see the first one coming out from him, of him, like, pointing the finger at somebody and being like, told you, bitch. So, I can't wait for that. Yeah. So, moving on. President Trump is sending the National Guard to Chicago to help combat violent crime and aid ICE in deporting illegal aliens.
Get back! Get back!
Now, this was just one clip of many that are going around, but as you see, people are trying to walk toward ICE in an attempt to probably surround them and inflict harm, possibly. So, yeah, using the pepper ball gun like they did, don't see a problem with that. Being told to stay in back, you're not. Well, as the kids say, you fuck around and find out. And I know I sound like a broken record here, but of course, Democrat Governor J.B. Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson said they wouldn't stand for this, calling it racist and blah, 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 blah. But as I've said before, I don't like to see our military in the streets of our country, but when Democrat politicians let their cities fall to shit like this, someone's got to come in and deal with it. because there are other people that live there too, and they're tired of this as well. So, as we saw in DC, they started cracking down on crime. Guess what? You don't have crime. Who'd have thunk it? And on this same vein, the city of Portland, Oregon is suing Trump over the deployment of National Guard into their city. And as of now, roughly 200 National Guard troops are being deployed there to protect federal property and the like. Because the left sees everything backwards, city officials say, this is a threat to public safety, and our streets are safe and calm and peaceful. Okay. But, letting career criminals loose onto the streets is not a threat to public safety. Help me make sense of that one. Because I can't. Speaking of illegal immigration, the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services found that nearly 50% of illegal aliens in the St. Paul, Minneapolis area that were investigated committed immigration fraud. So, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I had to look more into this one myself. Operation Twin Shield was conducted in this area with over 1,000 cases investigated for various reasons. So, of those, a high percentage were found to have committed immigration fraud. And it's weird how this occurred in Ilhan Omar's area. Just saying. And I also suspect that if other prominent Democrat areas are targeted like this, more cases like this will emerge. As we've kind of seen in Oklahoma. Oklahoma state troopers aided ICE in detaining more than 100 illegal aliens along Interstate 40 during Operation Guardian. For those that don't know, I-40 is kind of along the Oklahoma-Texas border, so it's a interstate highway. Let me find where I was at here. Yes. So, law enforcement found 125 illegal aliens were driving commercial vehicles, most likely semi-trucks. So, they had 125 people were detained that were illegal aliens that had CDLs, commercial driver's licenses. So, on one hand, this is actually good for public safety, as we recently saw a couple months ago in Florida, where the guy who was an illegal alien, I think from India, if I remember right, he made an illegal U-turn on the highway that resulted in the death of 3 people. But it is also terrifying, as these were simply the ones that got caught. So hopefully more crackdowns like this occur across the country. And when you're on the road, I would say be mindful of the semi-trucks, because you never know who's behind the wheel. Can't believe I had to say that. And, speaking of being soft on crime, Stephen Federico, a father from North Carolina, recently gained some internet notoriety for posting a video slamming lawmakers for their soft on crime policies that led to the death of his daughter.
Bang! Dead. Gone. Why? Because Alexander Devontae Dickey, who was arrested 39 times, 25 felonies, was on the street, forced on her knees, with her hands over her head, begging for her life, begging for her hero, her father, me, that couldn't be there. She was 5'3". She weighed 115 pounds. My daughter wanted to be a teacher. She finally figured it out 2 weeks before she was executed. And you will not forget her. I promise you. You will be sick and tired of my face and my voice until this gets fixed. I will fight until my last breath for my daughter. What y'all did, you woke up a beast and you pissed off the wrong daddy. You need to fight for the rest of our children, the rest of the innocents, and stop protecting the people that keep taking them from us.
Now, this comes in light of Irina Zarutska, the Ukrainian woman who was stabbed to death after another career criminal, a career felon, was let loose into the community. The man who killed Federico's daughter was not only a felon, as he stated, arrested 39 times, 25 felonies, but he allegedly also stole a shotgun that he used to murder Federico's daughter. So it is sad to say this, but hopefully people start waking up to this and get rid of the politicians who constantly put criminals over you, over people like you and your wife and your kids and your friends and your coworkers, people who are trying to be productive members of society. So, North Carolina, you got some work to do. Also, the guy who was a 25-time felon somehow got a gun. So, again, shows you how gun control doesn't work, but that's just a little side point. And by the way, I should have said this at the top, but please share this stuff with your normie friends, because that is who I am trying to reach out to. People, Jander, if you're watching, I appreciate you watching every week, but I'm sure you have some normie people in your life who could use this. So people like yourself, please share. All right, moving on. Eric Adams dropped out of the New York City mayoral race, and he posted a 9-minute video on social media explaining why he did, and all this other stuff. I didn't watch it. I'm not including it here, but that's that. He has not endorsed Cuomo or any other candidate at this time, so hopefully a miracle happens by the time Election Day rolls around and Zohran Mamdani loses this race, because, communists ruin everything, and Mamdani will crash the Big Apple right into the ground. And if you either have left New York or are planning to, leave your shitty politics behind. You do realize that the Democrat Party has led up to Zohran Mamdani getting where he's at, right? So if you move to Pennsylvania or North Carolina or here to Ohio or Florida or wherever, and you're like, I'm still a Democrat, I'm just going to keep voting Democrat, you are literally enacting the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. You will get another Zohran Mamdani somewhere else, and I'll be talking about it again like I am now. So, again, if you are a refugee from New York to another state, leave your shitty politics behind. That's that. So, moving on to some social media stuff, and not my own, but you should go follow me. Alphabet, the parent company of Google and YouTube, has agreed to pay President Trump $24.5 million to settle a lawsuit that Trump filed in 2021. The lawsuit came after YouTube suspended Trump over the January 6th insurrection. And this is good to hear, but other people like Alex Jones are still banned indefinitely. So it seems that YouTube's recent commitment to free speech and expression isn't exactly true. Just like I predicted last week when I talked about this. Not saying that Alex Jones was right about everything. His initial thoughts on Sandy Hook were incorrect. But again, if you say you're going to be committed to free speech and expression, you're kind of not showing it now, YouTube. And that's why I said at the top, if you're watching on YouTube, you know who you are, go to Rumble or Spotify, because those platforms are a little bit more friendly to people like myself. Fight the culture war with your dollars. And that is a perfect segue into the next story. Netflix shares have recently dropped after Elon Musk called for a boycott, as you can see from his recent post here. This started because a writer for an animated kids show besmirched Charlie Kirk, and it just so happens that the show in question is allegedly pushing, quote, pro-transgender content onto children, end quote. Now, I haven't had a Netflix account in years, partly because of the price and partly because of them cracking down on the password sharing thing, gotta admit. But this is a prime example of people fighting the culture war with their dollars, just as I have called for before as well. So when you quit giving these companies your money, they'll get the message or in reverse course, or they'll fail. Like we saw with Bud Light. They did the whole Dylan Mulvaney thing. They lost a ton of money. They reversed course. And they even still haven't really come back from that. So, again, and then kind of on the flip side, we saw the American Eagle ad with Sydney Sweeney. Got a lot of attention. Not many people really boycotted it, so, fight the culture war with your dollars. And I really, really just wish Disney, of all of these companies, could feel this. I can't tell you how much I seriously dislike Disney. I know I've talked about it before, but they are one of the worst ones when it comes to this kind of stuff. So, while you're at it, cancel your Disney Plus subscription too. Anyway, moving on. More news from Elon Musk. He has recently claimed that the SPLC is responsible for the Charlie Kirk assassination, as seen in this post here as well. Claims are circulating that Charlie Kirk was featured on the Southern Poverty Law Center's Hate Watch newsletter just one day before he was shot. And apparently he had also been featured in this kind of a publication earlier this year as well. So that's why I said earlier this year, maybe about 2 weeks ago, that any prominent Democrat politician or media pundit who ever called Charlie Kirk or anybody on the right a Nazi, fascist, Hitler should be brought up on domestic terrorism charges, because that kind of rhetoric is what has led to the death of Charlie Kirk. Anyway, getting off on a rant. Yeah, this falls right in line with the rhetoric from the past 10 years. And to add to this, the FBI has recently cut ties with the Anti-Defamation League, with Kash Patel essentially labeling the ADL a left-wing extremist organization. Now, the ADL had a real good partnership with the FBI under James Comey, as he used to, fawn over them and say how great they were. So, doesn't surprise me that under James Comey, the FBI was investigating Catholic moms because they didn't want certain pornographic type stuff taught to their children in schools. Not surprising to me. So, hopefully those two organizations get a little bit of the boot right up the ass and get in line or go by the wayside. Joy Reid recently spelled out the Republican dream, and I'll just let her speak for herself.
Is that if you go back before the 20th century, there were no income taxes, there were no regulations on business. You could earn as much money as you want, leave 100% of it to your children with no taxes. Right. That's the world they want back. And to get it back, they need society to change. They need people to be less modern. They need people to want fewer things.
I honestly find no flaw in her argument. That might actually be the smartest thing that she has ever said. And what's funny is she says this like it's a bad thing. And this is why I say the left, the Democrat Party, is borderline communist at this point, because they always worship government. Every time you ask them about a problem, they want more government. That's what communists want, centralized government over everything. They essentially worship it because they have no God, so their God is the government. And that is why I will never vote Democrat ever in my life. If you ever find me voting Democrat, it's probably because I'm dead and someone's using my name to fake a ballot. Because that doesn't happen at all. So, speaking of Democrats, Chris Cuomo recently said the quiet part out loud, and pretty loud if I might add.
How do you keep them from having the nuke? Impeach Trump is the opposite of having a better idea. You're killing your party. You're killing your party. And look, I hope it works out for you. I hope you guys splinter off and become, whatever you really are. Because you're not a capitalist and you're not a Democrat. And, you can say, well, what do you know? I was raised by a real one. Go ahead and criticize Mario Cuomo. What's going to be your biggest insult? That he spawned me and Andrew? Is that going to be the best you have? Because you ain't shit compared to him. Not in terms of intelligence, not in terms of success, not in terms of pedigree, not in terms of philosophy, not in terms of mission, not in terms of eloquence, not in terms of charisma, not in terms of anything. Certainly not electability. You are killing your party because you are not a real one. Because you're doing what's good for you in a vacuum with your little social media following. You're no different than a pod bro. And you're killing your party. And Democrats better wake the fuck up and realize that you're better than this. Be with the 80, not the 20. Okay?
Again, I agree with what he said. Like, this is exactly what the right has been saying for years. Like, the left has gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and have completely gotten off track. So hopefully the Democrat Party as a whole has this kind of awakening and ditches the crazies on their side. But then that would mean that they would have to admit they've been wrong on so many issues before. And I simply don't see that happening anytime soon. Like, Democrat politicians like Elizabeth Warren, AOC, Ilhan Omar, those people, Chuck Schumer, I'm sure Ro Khanna and oh god, I just lost his name. John Fetterman, actually, I'm surprised. I'm sure those two actually had a sincere reaction to the murder of Charlie Kirk, but none of the real big prominent ones condemned political violence specifically on their side. So, yeah, the left would have to do that, but then they would have to admit they're wrong, which they ain't gonna do. All right. So, former Trump campaign manager Brad Parscale, I think is how you pronounce it, he has registered as a foreign agent for Israel. Parscale was offered a $6 million deal to create online content targeted at younger Americans, more than likely as a way to encourage support for Israel again. Now, while I really don't care what happens in the Middle East, I do care about foreign governments having influence on ours, and I'd like the government of Israel to be held accountable for the recent killings of U.S. civilians in Lebanon and other instances like the USS Liberty. Those two kinds of incidences have just been swept under the rug and just oopsie daisy. So, yeah, this is concerning that somebody who was working very closely with Trump is now a registered foreign agent for Israel, and we as a country continue to have this undying support for Israel. But anyway, again, getting off on a rant. And so finally, French troops raided a Russian Shadow Fleet ship over allegations of this ship launching drones into Europe. An airport was closed near Copenhagen after drone activity was reported in the area. The French troops arrested the captain and first officer of the ship, but they refused to cooperate with the French soldiers. So hopefully this doesn't escalate into a bigger conflict in Europe, but it seems kind of like Putin is really testing the limits. So it would not surprise me if World War III actually does happen. Hopefully not. So that is all I've got for you this week. I do apologize for my rantings and ravings here. It is almost 9:30. I've been awake since about 4. And yeah, so take care of yourselves. Keep your head on a swivel, especially if you are at church. And I will see you all next week. Thank you and take care.